In the heart of West Africa, a quiet revolution is taking place. A revolution not driven by oil, not powered by gold, but by tomatoes. From smallholder farms to industrial processing plants, Burkina Faso is rewriting its economic story, transforming agriculture into industry, and farmers into key players in national sovereignty. Between 2024 and 2026, the country launched one of its most ambitious agro-industrial strategies in decades, centered on a simple but powerful idea. Produce locally, process locally, prosper locally. This is the story of Burkina Faso's tomato processing breakthrough. For years, Burkina Faso was a paradox, a major tomato producer in West Africa, yet heavily dependent on imported tomato paste. Despite producing hundreds of thousands of tons annually, nearly 30% of tomatoes were lost after harvest due to lack of storage and processing. Farmers worked hard but earned little. Tomatoes spoiled quickly. Markets were unstable. Exports, especially to Ghana, became the only outlet. Meanwhile, supermarkets across the country stocked imported tomato paste, products made elsewhere from African-grown tomatoes. Value was leaving the country, jobs were leaving the country, and also opportunity was leaving the country. In 2024, everything began to change. Under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traoré, the government launched a bold strategy: Industrialize Agriculture. That same year, Burkina Faso inaugurated its first major tomato processing plant in Bobo Dioulasso, valued at 7.5 billion CFA francs. This was more than a factory. It was a signal that Burkina Faso would no longer export raw produce while importing finished goods. Soon after, another facility emerged in Yako, and plans for additional plants in Tenkodogo followed. Private and public investments began to flow. One plant alone could process several tons of tomatoes per hour, turning fresh produce into paste, puree, and sauces. The strategy was clear: don't just grow food, transform it. Agro-processing became the backbone of a new economic model. Factories created, stable demand for farmers, new rural incomes, jobs in processing, logistics, and packaging, and most importantly, reduced waste. Instead of rotting in fields, tomatoes were now entering industrial pipelines. The flagship Dogona plant, launched in late 2024, could process 6 tons per hour, producing branded tomato concentrate. This marked the birth of local brands, competing with imports on supermarket shelves. But factories alone were not enough. To sustain processing, Burkina Faso needed one thing: more tomatoes. In 2025, the government launched a massive agricultural campaign. Over 104 billion CFA francs, approximately $179 million, was invested in the 2025-2026 agro-pastoral season. This was one of the largest agricultural support programs in the country's history. What did it include? Tractors, motor pumps, cultivators, fertilizers, improved seeds, processing units, and logistics support for farmers. Thousands of farmers received machinery. Entire regions saw mechanization for the first time. Tomato production, once limited by manual labor, began to scale. This was not just support, it was transformation. The results were immediate. Across agriculture, yields surged as mechanization and inputs improved productivity. The broader agricultural offensive led to significant increases in output, helping Burkina Faso move toward food self-sufficiency. And tomatoes were no exception. With better seeds, irrigation systems, and mechanized farming, farmers produced more and lost less. At the same time, processing plants ensured that surplus production had a destination. This created a powerful cycle: more production, more processing, more income, and more investment. By 2026, Burkina Faso took an even bolder step. The government suspended fresh tomato exports. But why? To prioritize domestic industry, the goal was simple: feed local factories first, reduce imports of tomato paste, which had averaged over 15,000 tons annually. This policy marked a turning point. Burkina Faso was no longer just supporting agriculture. It was actively reshaping markets to favor industrialization. The tomato became more than a crop. It became a symbol of not economic sovereignty, industrial ambition, .anf rural transformation. New jobs emerged across the value chain: farming, transport, processing, packaging, and retail. For a country where up to 90% of the population depends on agriculture, this shift was profound. In just 3 years, Burkina Faso achieved something remarkable. It began turning agriculture into industry, loss into value, and dependence into self-reliance. The tomato, once wasted in the fields, is now fueling factories, creating jobs, and building a new economy. Burkina Faso's tomato revolution is not just about food, it is about the future.